Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for day 8 of the Light Wellness Experience Workshop. I know that we have been at this for a little while now, and I appreciate you sticking with us and hanging in there. We had the first 4 days of information and education on circadian health, light metrics, light applications, and how to see results and how to assess what kind of results you're getting back from all of the efforts you're taking to achieve a light wellness lifestyle. So whether that is a financial indicator or a health risk indicator or a productivity indicator, right? We have all these ways that we can look at our time and our financial investment in understanding and applying light wellness. And so that is something that we're going to be discussing a little bit further today. I know that on day 4, we discussed some of the statistics around the successes of installing light wellness systems inside different types of health clinics and education facilities. We talked about real world results that we're seeing in LVG's work with specific clients and with Valerie's work with some of her patients inside occupational therapy. And so while these are all little successes that continue to communicate a much larger picture, we really want to fine tune on some of those details for you. So as you know, the Light Wellness Experience Workshop is here to promote the Light Wellness Masters Program. And with all of the amazing things that are included inside of the program that we've been discussing over the last few days, there is one critical component that we truly cannot live without. And if you joined us for yesterday's testimonial with Matt Birch, right, we asked a very important question for someone who's living in a northern area of the world, further from the equator, relatively overcast climates around the year. Um, you know, do you feel that investing in electric light therapy solution is wise for you based on your lifestyle, based on what you now understand about the different models of light wellness? How are you filling your bucket, right? Faster or slower? So, we're going to be taking a look today with Mr. Mark McClear, the COO of BIOS Lighting. Mark has around 30 years of experience in the engineering field, 10 of which, and we started with Texas Instruments and helping develop chips for different types, for cars, for calculators, you name it. Now, essentially, because LEDs run on different types of chip technology, the last 20 years he has devoted his practice and expertise to working inside lighting engineering. And if you saw the quote from today's session, he thought that he was missing something in the industry, and he found it in BIOS Lighting and became so inspired by the work they were doing and how important it was for mankind. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about his professional journey. But we're going to be talking very specifically about BIOS light bulbs, right? The light bulbs, the spectrally engineered retrofit LED light bulbs that you're going to be receiving inside the master's program. Okay. Now, you can purchase additional light bulbs if you would like, but you are being allocated a certain value of light bulbs inside the master's program on top of everything else. So we're going to be talking about those products. We're going to be talking about how to use them. We're going to be talking about, their placement in market value and how to really start to assess not just health indicators and productivity indicators and clinical indicators, but today is a conversation where we can kind of dive a little bit more into financial indicators for wellness ROI. So with no further ado, I am going to welcome Mr. Mark McClear into our discussion. So drop a comment. Let us know if you're getting excited about this. Welcome him, show him some support. And here we go. Hi, Mark. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, Regina. Thank you. Gosh, I'm really, really excited to do this today. LVG has been such a great partner for us, and I just appreciate you so much and the work that you do. And I'm excited to have worked with my colleagues on some really new information. We created it for the Experience Workshop. We're trying to make this. We're trying to pull. I know there's been a lot of great technical talks and One of my colleagues, Robert Solar, did one a few days ago for you guys. We worked really hard to pull all the technical jargon and all the science is grounded in science, of course, but it's going to be a more accessible type of presentation today. And I hope this is really helpful for and really is a nice maybe capstone for the workshop. So yeah, I'm excited to contribute.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you guys put so much effort into it. I'm glad that you're excited about it because I've been so excited in order to develop this workshop and now present it. And we've had such great interaction and communication with individuals across, light and build professions, health and wellness professions, and just, general community members who are really interested in looking at how to strengthen all of these different pillars of health that stand on that foundation of circadian health. So it's been great conversations on the news feed and inside our private direct messages, and hopefully they just have more questions on top of this. Of course, one of the biggest issues that we see and that we've had a lot of conversations about over the course of the last year is that because light wellness is so technical and it can be very dense, a big area that's fallen through the cracks, that gap, right? That gap that LVG is trying to fill, is really educating and engaging the community so that we can have more constructive conversations about this and not leave people scratching their heads, right? So I appreciate you guys taking the time to kind of strip away some of that density and just make it real and relatable and down to earth and just show the bare bones of what this light does, how it does it, why, right? And the different types of forms we can receive it in, right? A simple light bulb. We went from, 5 years ago, only having integrated fixtures with a really high output to now we have this nice kind of little nugget that we can just screw into an existing lamp. So I'm so happy that you guys invest in R&D to create this type of technology for all of us, and that of course, for welcoming me into kind of the BIOS family, and letting me be someone that helps spread this message with and for you. I've really loved working with all of you. So thanks so much.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, excited to share it.
Yeah. So Mark, like Robert, has a presentation we're going to be sharing. So let me go ahead and pull it up on the screen and then get it all set up to make sure that it's accessible for everybody. And I think that we are good to go. Let me pull this off and I'll pull the brand off. There you go. And I think that we are good to go. All right. You ready?
Yeah, let me try and advance it here, see if that works. There we go. Yeah, so I titled this Beyond Seeing, and what I envisioned that this would be is it would be educational and it would be actionable, and for normal people. So that's what I tried to do today. So I like to start with what we all know, and everybody knows what the sun looks like. Everybody knows what it's like to step outside on a sunny day, and this is the light spectrum. I'm going to try and not use terms more complicated than that. But this is the light spectrum that would be present if we stepped outside on a sunny day. And we all know what that feels like. We all know what that looks like. It's awesome, and it's no accident because that's how we were designed. We evolved to respond to this. In fact, the way that our system works is the sun comes in. There's that spectrum again. It hits our eye, and then I'll show you in a second. It goes through a filter. Actually, we don't see and perceive and process in our brains all of the light that comes in to our eye. It hits a set of sensors on the back of the eyeball, and then it goes to the back of your brain and what's known as the visual cortex of your brain. Fairly simple to understand, but the thing I want you to focus on here is just all the light that's coming in initially, and then what happens is you see here in the gray, this light is all filtered out, and what we actually only see, the human eye is actually very, very sensitive to green, relatively insensitive to blue and red. And after that, it all gets truncated. We don't even perceive the light radiation. This is why, for example, way down at this end, you can get a sunburn from this, even though you can't see the light that's burning you. So that's how that works. So the point is that the sun is putting out a lot of different light. We are only seeing and processing with our brain. Seeing involves sensing, it involves processing, and we are actually only seeing a fraction of that. And then we have a different sensor in our brain, excuse me, in our eye, that is constantly polling the sky to see, where's the sky, what time of day it is, what time of day is it. And now this is the human circadian stimulation. This function, or this light that is seen there, is sensed by a different sensor in your eye, and you see the overlap between the two. It basically, the point that we'd like to make, first thing I'd like you to remember is that we are designed to look for the blue sky. During the day, the best possible thing you can do is get outside and look at the blue sky. And that connection to this human circadian response is very, very important to health and well-being. And you can see here that it doesn't quite, it overlaps just a bit with what we're seeing. This is light that our eyes are not processing as vision; they're processing it as a physiological response. So if you put the two together, the light comes in to the eye. The part that we see goes to your vision center. The part that is in the blue sky area goes to basically what's called the circadian clock. And for more than 100 years, medical doctors actually thought that there were just 4 sensors in your eye. The rods are for processing nighttime vision when it's black and white, and the cones are for the red, green, and blue cones are for processing color vision during the daytime. And this is relatively new science. There were indications of it over the years, but they finally figured it out, what was going on at Brown University in just 2002, so just 19 years ago. And then in 2017, 3 scientists worked their work was recognized by the Nobel Prize committee on by identifying the gene that controls the circadian system. So even though these indicators have been out there for a while, it's just now being understood and being reduced down to, oh, I can understand this, but now 2, I can do something with that, and I know what to do about it. So that's where we're at today. Sorry, go ahead, Regina.
I said they're being valued.
Yes, they're being valued instead of just up until I've worked in lighting for about 20 years, and up until very recently, all anybody wanted to talk about was efficiency. How much energy are you saving?
Yeah. Or color rendering, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, sometimes color rendering comes up too. Right. You're absolutely right. But now there's yet another value, and it shouldn't be surprising. I mean, it's just like, well, of course we were designed to see the blue sky, and I'll show you some data that you probably have never seen before in a minute, to show you how bad most lighting is in this. So let me keep going here. So our bodies need the blue sky signal, but modern life prevents us from getting it. And so here on the left, you see a school, or you see an old folks home, or you see a hospital, or even just a common workplace. The blue sky is going on right now during the day. It's noon where I am, but I'm not outside. I'm with you guys today, and you guys are probably inside doing something else too. But the best thing that we can do is just to get out, but we can't because of modern life. And when you think about that, that wasn't like that 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And we haven't evolved to change any in that amount of time. So 150 years ago, we would have had outside jobs this time of day.
Yep.
and we would have gotten that signal. Now we're indoors and we can't get it. So what do we do is the question.
Well, and I will add to that point. We had this conversation recently, and then I've seen in research that the average senior citizen inside a nursing home or maybe a specialty home, right, is only gets on average 18 minutes of daylight a day. And that's typically from inside near a window. That's not even going outside. So the amount of intensity of light and the radiant output being received through, an outdoor spectrum of daylight really isn't getting to them the way that they want to, or the way that we really need, our bodies need. So 18 minutes on average for a human being, day to day, to get access to even a limited amount of daylight. It's just not enough. And then, I was just talking yesterday with my nephew who is graduating. He's a senior in high school. And I asked him, he was recently, he is in recovery. He's in remission from leukemia. He'd been fighting leukemia for 4 years. And I asked him, are you getting your morning daylight? We've been talking about this. I've been getting really firm with him. And he's like, I can't do it, Aunt Gina. I start school at 7:30 in the morning. Most of the classrooms don't have windows, or because they're in different areas of the building. And the only time I do get daylight, up until like, I think it's like a 15-minute break around 11 a.m. or something, or maybe it's their lunchtime, which is 30 minutes, but even that's in a cafeteria with limited windows. He has 4 minutes between classes, so he can't even step outside for enough time for his brain to kind of really access that signal being received through, those sensors, through those photoreceptors. So it is, this is an epidemic. Right? This was an epidemic before the pandemic. And it's yes, while modern technology is incredible and modern infrastructure and architecture is incredible, we need to be having more conversations about letting light in, or restructuring our social constructs so that we can get out, right? So, with that said, I just wanted to give that, insight.
Oh yeah, right. Absolutely, 100% agree. That's absolutely right. So basically, we have this dilemma. What can we do? What can we all do about this? And basically, we came up with a little acronym here. We hope it works. We hope it's useful. We hope it's memorable in a way to say what are the vitals that you need for lighting, for indoor lighting. If you have to be indoors, what do you have to do? And the V is for vertical. That's the directionality of the light. I is intensity or brightness. T is the timing of the time of day. You can't look bad, so it has to, the appearance is important, and the appearance, I'll show you in a second, the appearance is actually important for a second reason besides just how it looks. The location, you have some flexibility of where you can put your light, and where the light comes from at the various times of day. That is important. And then I'll show you the new data that I mentioned on spectra. And I think that that'll be very informative and very interesting. So VITALS are the vitals of healthy light, and I'll go through those. So
I love that. All right.
yeah, I have to credit one of my colleagues for coming up with that. Erica Voss is our lighting designer, and she was just noodling on it, and she says, "Guys, this is how you do. This is how you explain it." And
You realize word jumble, people? We can do this.
yeah. So vertical is basically is talking about the where the light is coming from. So basically the way that sensor in the eye works that we talked about a second ago. If light is coming from the 90 to 45 degree angle here in this blue, that's the highest effect on the circadian stimulation. You get a moderate effect above that, and then of course above your head you can't see anything. And it turns out that below the horizon it doesn't stimulate that sensor. So basically, light that's bouncing off this yellow wall here to a person seated on this red sofa would be receiving some circadian stimulation off that wall. Certainly, light that's coming out of this flat screen TV would be going directly into the eye. That would be stimulating as well, and that's why we don't want to be on our screens before bedtime.
Yeah.
That's sort of the science behind that. But the highest stimulation comes from vertical light. That is light that is either bouncing off from or emanating from a vertical surface. So when you're thinking about the lighting in your home or your office, you should think about light coming at you from a vertical surface, not necessarily the horizontal plane that you may be working from, let's say on a desk. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Everyone, if you think that makes sense, drop a comment. If you're confused, let us know. We will get to those questions at the end of the presentation. Again, we are here to serve you. We want to make this as relatable and as informative as possible. We're not trying to confuse anyone here. So just let us know if you have any questions and we will definitely get back to them. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, please. Okay, so next one is intensity. That one's fairly easy to understand. It's just brightness. But you think about it. You think about the point that was made a second ago. We evolved to thrive under very bright days because it's very, very bright out. It's way brighter outside than most homes or offices would be lit, and then completely dark at night. And that only changed a few hundred years ago. So, but what instead of that, what we get now are these dank offices, like you see there on the left. They're
Yeah.
barely lit, and I've been in environments like this. I'm sure you guys have too, and you just feel yuck afterwards, and it never really knew why. Now, and again, that's in the little piece at the top. I mentioned. I actually this was the missing piece for me. It's like now I know why. And then at night, when it's supposed to be dark, see that's the city of Los Angeles. That's not very dark. If you see that's famous, photo taken from Mount Wilson. And then I like the Times Square one in the lower right hand corner. It is so bright there at night that they turn the street lights off.
Yeah.
They don't even if you see there's a street light right in the center frame there. I don't know if it's big enough to see on
Oh,
your
yeah.
your screens. And oh yeah, here it is right here, right there. The street
Yep.
lights are off in Times Square because it's so bright. So instead of being super bright during the day and completely dark at night, we have kind of bright during the day and kind of bright at night. So it's not, our bodies are not getting what it needs from intensity. So you want to think about if you're setting up your lighting for home or for an office or an environment that you may be designing in, you want to think about vertical planes where how the light is hitting the occupants horizontally, and you want to give them enough light to stimulate them.
Yeah.
So that's the intensity part. The third part is timing. There's a time of day. So here's a little clock that we put together. So starting at 6 a.m., you should be lights on. Or whenever it is you get up. The more light that you can get into your eye, again above the horizon, is really really important. And then all the way till 5 6 o'clock at night, and then you should just start your calm down. Get ready for sleep, and you should be removing any sort of blue. You should try to remove light that's coming from above your head. So we need that blue sky signal during the day, but we need that blue sky signal, but we need it at the right time of the day. And at night, we need as little light as possible. And it's especially important to eliminate blue light sources. And that's again why we don't recommend you be on your screens, for at least an hour before bedtime. Does that make sense?
Yep. Everyone give us a thumbs up if you think it makes sense.
All right, let's keep going. Appearance. This is a concept of it is basically the color. White has many colors, and we've given them names. We call them warm white or daylight white or cool white. It turns out that for productivity, for setting your mood, for making you alert, you're going to want daylight white or even cooler white colors during the daytime. And then at nighttime, you want to go as warm as you possibly can. And this gets back to sort of the campfire kind of thing. So if you have a situation or the flexibility in your space to and you want to be productive, you want to be alert, you want to be active, you can use the cooler or the daylight type of colors during the daytime, and then the warmer as warm as you can at night. And then the sixth or fifth one is the location. This is similar to the vertical point, but it's slightly different because when we're talking about location, I mean we can't necessarily pick the you know the where the walls are or where maybe a TV is positioned. But we can position our lights, and we can make a conscious decision of what light to take in at what time of day. So again, our eyes were developed to receive light that's coming from above the horizon, clearly above this blue horizon, and that's where our, and that diagram that I showed with the eyeball a minute ago, looking above the horizon for stimulation during the day. Indoor can be the same way. So lights like this are actually really great. They're functional, they're great, and this is what you want to have on during the day. At night, though, I mean, if you have to have light, it should be below the horizon, and see these two side by side. Go back to the campfire analogy. As warm as possible, and a campfire is obviously a very warm color. But you see the difference between these two LED lights. This one has got a normal LED bulb, and you see all the light that comes up. That's now suddenly above your horizon. That's actually not good for you at night. I'll show you a lamp in a second that is similar to this. We call it nightfall, and you see that the top is all truncated. Everything is pushed back down below the horizon. Perfect for bedrooms. Perfect for navigating. You don't obviously want to create a tripping or hazard or anything like that in the house. But you don't want to. You also don't want to be stimulating yourself at night, and nightfall is awesome for that. Okay, so that's location, and the last one is spectrum. This is the data. I mentioned that I'm an engineer and I'm a geek and I like this stuff, but so I went out and did all this research to try and bring this together in a what I hope is an accessible explanation of spectra. Remember, I showed earlier the daylight spectrum, all the light that's coming from the sun. When we see a candle or we see an older fashioned incandescent bulb, we're actually the reason why we're seeing so many gorgeous reds and so forth is because that's all there is in that spectrum. Very, very little blue. So this would be great. This would be a candle is great at night. An incandescent bulb is great at night if it's below the horizon, but it's actually pretty terrible for active, pretty terrible for being stimulated, and mood setting and so forth. Here are your screens: big LCD TV or a phone or this is the same thing. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and click this so you can see this. This is the human circadian response that I showed earlier, the circadian stimulation. You see the candle or the incandescent bulb has almost no active stimulation. Your screens do have some. You can see they overlap a bit with this curve, and that's why Samsung and Apple put those filters on for evening, for example. Fluorescent lamps, no, and this is where our kids are. Our kids are in school in these. All of our hospitals have these fluorescent tubes. These are ubiquitous, and they do almost nothing for us in the day. That's that dank office that I was talking about earlier. And it's really, now that we know this, it's like, oh my gosh, everybody should just do this tomorrow. And I mentioned I'm an LED guy. Look at how bad LEDs are too. So LEDs don't do it either. We need something else, and we're not getting this. So point here is that almost any artificial light source contains very little circadian stimulation. It's not healthy for daylight, and they're really not that healthy for nighttime either.
Yeah, and you know what's really unfortunate is that most individuals, because of the inherent nature of needing to provide blue light inside of LED semiconductors, right? People take for granted that LEDs have the right type of blue spectrum. So there are so many manufacturers who are out there right now who are creating what we call tunable white light. And they think that because it's tunable, that we're naturally able to sell it as a circadian lighting solution. And it's just not the case. If you're not paying attention to that very specific range of spectral output, then yeah, you might have an aesthetically pleasing day to night appearance of, tunable white, but it is not a circadian stimulating tunable white. And it's very, unfortunately, the marketing in the lighting industry has kind of gone wayward with that.
Mhm.
And so we need manufacturers like yourself who are really driving home the importance of the spectrum and the message about transitioning between different color temperatures while paying attention to spectrum specifically,
Yeah, 100%. Yep, 100% agree. Yeah, so this was this right here for me is the missing piece, and one useful way to remember it is the difference between the blue sky, I'm in North Carolina. That's Carolina blue for if I want to get all the Duke people excited. But so the blue sky is not the color that you see when you drive down the street at Christmas time and you see those gaudy saturated blue LED Christmas lights. That blue is not the right blue for circadian stimulation. You want the Carolina blue, and it's not in virtually any artificial source that's ever been made before. So
Yep.
and this is a big deal. So
Until now.
until now, yeah. So just one other thing though, it's complicated. Vertical intensity, timing, the appearance, the location, and the spectra. As complicated as all that is, nature takes care of that automatically for us. This little girl is getting exactly what she needs right there, including loving from the dog, right? So, this, for indoor lighting, we have to work a little bit harder, and that's what BIOS has done. So, basically, so the best thing that you can do for yourself is to get outside during the daytime. 30, 50 minutes during the day would be perfect for everybody. If you can't do that, then you pay attention to the direction. You pay attention to making your environments bright during the day and as dark as you can tolerate at night safely. Consider timing, and you don't want blue stimulation after about 6 o'clock. The cooler colors during the day will help you to be more alert. They'll help you to be more productive. They'll help you to be have better mood, and as warm as possible at night. Choose a location so that you're aware of the horizon, and then select a source that delivers a spectrum, the right spectrum, effective spectrum for circadian stimulation, both day and night. So, yeah, BIOS has an awesome solution, and this is the piece for me that was missing. You can see, compared to the other sources on the other slide, you can see that the BIOS product is designed to just nail that circadian stimulation and deliver that to you during the day when you want to be productive, when you want to be active, and then we've got a solution to take care of that at night too. And this is you can see this would be the peak of a traditional LED. This is the peak of the BIOS technology, and that's what it's set up for. We call that sky blue. Okay. So, we say we're doing the work of nature here. So we're changing the color of these light bulbs during the daytime, and during the daytime they're going to be a very daylight color, about 3,500 Kelvin. They're going to be delivering that sky blue spectra that I mentioned a second ago, and then you can tune them like this little graphic is showing. You can change the appearance, so you can dial them down from 3,500 Kelvin to 1,900, very, very warm, campfire kind of color, at the right time of day, and you can deliver it in the intensity that you need, both day, high intensity during the day, low intensity during the night. And this would be intended for homes and offices, and any place that's used actively both day and night and lit both day and night. Okay. And I put a little animation in here that I hope is helpful. Because the biodimmer is what we call it. It works differently than the dimmers that you're used to. So I put a little star here at 100%. So we're changing the dimmer down here at the bottom. I'm going to dial that dimmer from 100. It's the daytime, full brightness, full intensity, full circadian stimulation, 100 and 100%. So it's highest intensity that the lamp can put out, and the dimmer is at 100%. But if you click it here, we go down to about 80% on the dimmer. We're still above 90% on the light output, but now we've taken the blue sky signal out. Okay, so it's still bright, but it's not stimulating. This is getting you ready for sleep. This is you may just nudge this, or it could be integrated with this. Any common dimmer works on this, or any common control system will work with us. So you could program this on with your phones, or you could do this manually. I just actually go around the house about 6-7 o'clock and just hit the dimmers in my house. But you know that's I'm a self confessed technology geek, so that's I still do it. I do it kind of old school, but
There's something to be said for, manual operations, if you will. Like that's another huge conversation inside the lighting industry. What level of control do we give individuals? Because do they know how to set, circadian settings versus not? And it's part of the education that we need to provide, because not everyone can afford a $30,000 control system, right? That's going to automate day to night spectrum for us. So it becomes incumbent on us, especially with, more very kind of typical light bulb applications, to show that, yeah, you can just use a dimmer. You don't need a $30,000 control system in order to automate it for you. We can take responsibility for, setting that level ourselves. So I'm the same way. I like my manual dimmers.
I 100% agree. And I'm an engineer. I'm not a psychological expert. Don't play one on television. But I got to tell you, I find it, the consciousness of thinking about my lighting at that time of day actually starts the whole psychological process that for at least for me, to help me get a great night's sleep. And I go, my wife often teases me like, oh yeah, it's evening, isn't it? You're like, yeah, we should be thinking about this.
Yeah, we had in our testimonial yesterday, it also brings up another area of consciousness where, when you're really, like you said, when you're becoming light conscious and you're, taking responsibility for this in real time, it almost forces you to become conscious of other areas of health and wellness. So now that you're thinking about your lighting, because you understand that it's nighttime, maybe you're less likely to reach for that high sugar snack at 10 p.m. type of thing, right? Like it just kind of gets your wheels thinking about all the different layers of health and wellness, because you've invested in being conscious about this one type of behavior versus another, right?
Great point. Yeah, that was thinking the same thing about food choices, right? Like, hey, I shouldn't eat that. Hey, I shouldn't be looking at my screen this time of night.
Yeah, my light is looking a little bit more amber. Maybe I should have an orange versus a cupcake with, white frosting, right?
All right, there you go. So as you continue to dial the dimmer down, this works a little bit differently than dimmers that you're used to, because most dimmers just work on brightness. The BIOS dimming system works on both, uses standard dimmers. You don't have to change anything on your wall or anything. I don't make sure I say that correctly. But it senses the current and it goes, oh, we're coming down. So it begins to change the color from 3,500 Kelvin all the way down to eventually, eventually it gets down to 1900 Kelvin. But in this range, it's probably about 3000 Kelvin. So there'll be a little bit of a shift, but not so much. And then if you click it one more time, we go down to 20%. And it's only 20% on the dimmer. It's about 15% on the output, and then it's about 1900 Kelvin. So it's very, very warm. And I got this little cartoon running in the background. That's showing comparing the two spectrums. This is the nighttime mode. You see, there's no blue whatsoever in that 1900 Kelvin. And then, so during the daytime, you're getting that big blue peak. You're getting all the stimulation that is required. And then at night, you're getting basically nothing. You're just getting the light that you need to navigate the light that you need to prepare you for a restful sleep.
Yeah.
And again, this is off basically a standard A19 light bulb and a standard wall dimmer can do this.
Yep. In a standard medium screw base, right,
That's
everyone?
it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. So we do have a very, very beautiful. I know Gene has seen these. These things are fabulous. The state of the art in circadian light. This is what we call the Skyview lamp. This is what it looks. I'll show you in a second. It runs on an app, and it takes care of the time of day, and it knows to give you that stimulating light during the day. This is what it looks like when it's turned off. And it goes through a really cool sunrise and sunset. Now we have a lot of our customers are putting these in their bedrooms. They're tied to their wake up. So they instead of getting this alarm that goes bah, bah, whatever, or music to wake you up, basically now this light begins to creep in, and this is just like the pre-dawn sunrise, and it's just cathartic to see this. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, just like a sunrise. And yeah, so that's what the Sky View lamp goes. It runs off an app. And here's a use case. I actually have one on my desk. It's kind of coming in from the side here. I think you can kind of see this more bluish kind of light that's coming in from behind me.
I totally thought it was a window.
No, it's meant to look like that, but it's deliberately coming in from the side. I don't want. I want. That's where I want the stimulation to come in. And if you work with this on your desk, it's like having a cup of coffee. I promise. It's just crazy. So you can position this on the desk near it. You want it kind of off axis, and it provides beautiful light on the work surface that I'm working on, but it's also nourishing me from a light standpoint right now. And it works on an app. You can set it for the time of day. You can set it for your own preferences, and so pretty darn awesome.
Yeah.
And then just to wrap it up here, we have these we have these back to the light bulbs. I guess that's a little bit out of order. We should have arranged the order a little bit differently, but we're back to the light bulbs now. So we have a standard A lamp I mentioned. This is a BR. This would be the kind of thing that you'd probably have like in a kitchen can light, for example, is what we envision that for. And then we have Nightfall, which is sort of different category. I mentioned I've been in lighting for about 20 years. I'd never seen anything like it, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more. But these are the A19 and the BR30 are for day and night operation. There's the 3500. That's actually a mistake. It should be 1900 Kelvin on the low end. The Nightfall is different, and let me spend a little bit more, just one more slide on the Nightfall. Nightfall has this thing that's known as a silver bull reflector in the top. And it keeps all the light from going up. It reflects it back downward again. And that in itself is not unusual. That particular type of configuration has been available in light bulbs for probably more than 50 years. So that's not that new itself. What is new is this is now it's LED technology, and it's the thing that I hadn't seen before is 2200 Kelvin, which is very warm color, campfire type of color. And it's 90 CRI. So it's gorgeous light at that. I mean, my lighting brain could process 2700 Kelvin at 95 CRI. That's no problem. But 2200 with that kind of fidelity it's just a gorgeous light to be in. And then you see what it does here is it reflects just like the real life photo that I showed a second ago, reflects the light back down. So now it's below your horizon. So the way that we use it here at the house is two ways. One is it's the only light we have in our bedroom because it's very warm. It contains no blue, and it's below the horizon. So it's perfect in a lamp. So we're not lighting our ceiling and getting light bounced back down to us and stimulating us. it's bouncing it back down, or it's not bouncing it back down. The second place we use it is outdoor because it's an indoor and outdoor thing. And if you live in an area that's got sensitive wildlife, or you just really object to the whole dark sky thing, which I personally do, I mean that I chose that photo of Los Angeles for a reason because I just hate it. And I hate being in a big city and seeing what it does to to the stars and to the wildlife. Yeah, this is one way to do your part, and it's really inexpensive to do this. So
Yeah.
awesome. So you've got the day and night for these two. Works on the dimmer like I showed you. You got the nightfall, which also works on a dimmer, but it doesn't change color. It's really just for a bedroom or for outdoor applications. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, for those individuals who are joining us who are not specifically from the lighting industry, when we say CRI, we mean it's called the Color Rendering Index. And remember, yesterday and throughout a couple of days, we've been mentioning that inside the Light Wellness Masters program, we are going to be providing you with a color card swatch set in order to help you identify the color temperature and tonality, right? So if you don't have a means or the ability to really measure spectrum inside because you don't have a spectrometer, right, or a very specific, expensive little device to measure that radiant output, that one way to identify whether there's more or less blue in your light is to see how certain colors are going to render, right? If a nice pure red looks a little more purple, then there's more blue in that light. If a typical red looks really, really red and vibrant, then you have a little bit more of that red spectrum in your light. So that's what we mean by a color rendering index. The higher you are, the closer you are to 100, the truer that color looks underneath that kind of light or that specific light temperature. So that's what we mean by that fidelity, right? Fidelity of color. And so just so that you know, that's the geeks in us kind of coming out in this presentation, but just we don't want to, confuse you with some of that more technical jargon. So yeah,
All
that's
right. Thanks for that.
yeah, you're welcome. But it's a great point to put out that when you have such a low color temperature that is so amber in nature, you typically have a very low color rendering index
Be like 70
because
or something.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. The street lights are sort of this color, and they're like 30 CRI.
Exactly, right? We've
So
all
yeah.
seen those really old, high pressure sodiums, right? The kind of yellow looking lights where you stand underneath it and you can't make heads or tails of what color of something you're actually looking at because everything just looks like brown or
Mhm.
yellow underneath that light. That's a very low, like you said, it's like a 30 CRI. That's not the case with these light bulbs. You're gonna remove that blue spectrum that suppresses your melatonin and keeps you awake, right? And so that's going to allow melatonin to filter back into your blood so that you get nice and sleepy. And then, but while not compromising or sacrificing the visual, fidelity and, just kind of the nice ambiance and aesthetic that you've created, right? If you've picked a very specific type of fabric, you're going to see that color in the right way and you're not going to wind up losing that time that you put into kind of designing that space. So just something to keep in mind when we're talking about these light bulbs, because sometimes we say, oh, I really love my incandescent light bulb because of the warm glow and I like the way it dims down and kind of creates even more of a warmer glow. And that aesthetic tone and that value is something that people place a lot of emphasis on, and it's good to, it's important to, because that's your taste and that's your preference, and you're not going to be sacrificing it with a light bulb like Nightfall.
Right. Excellent point. Just one more quick slide to wrap things up. Kind of a pretty slide. It's not a bunch of bullets or anything, but is what I titled this thing Beyond Seeing because I wanted to kind of set the expectation that you can do this. This is actually very doable and accessible. You can create indoor light that strengthens your rhythm, enhances your productivity, boosts your mood, makes you feel more alert because you're delivering the light at the right time with the right color and the right appearance in the right location, or I remember the horizon thing, at the right intensity. and you get the right results, and that ends up in a good night's sleep. So I hope that was really helpful, and I really hope there's some good questions and feedback. I think this is this is a good good thing for everybody to know. And they don't teach this stuff in school. I had look how late I had to learn it from the NASA guys.
Yeah, right. Hey, so did I.
Yeah, that's right. The NASA guy. Well, we know the NASA guys. They're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. They're super down to earth, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They are down to earth, but they have a lot of a lot of deep science backing it up. This is hopefully a more accessible treatment of what would normally be a very complicated topic.
Yeah, 100%. And, so I just wanted to show you that, we have it in real time. Oh, did it turn on? I was like, what happened to it? There you go. So this is just an example, right? Everything that you just saw in the wonderful animations. By the way, that was a wonderful presentation. I appreciate it. Round of applause. I hope that everyone appreciated it. Drop a comment, show them some love and some support, because I have heard so many presentations about circadian light, and a lot of the technicality that you just saw, but actually sounded like technicality. That was, like we said, it was very kind of stripped down, and a lot of the density was kind of transformed into really relatable conversation. And that's what we want for you, so that you understand this. And so, yeah, with that said, these are the types of light bulbs that are going to be included inside the Light Wellness Masters program. I cannot tell you how many times I have done a verbal consultation on circadian light and lighting solutions. And it's, you pay for the consultation, you pay for the light bulbs, you pay for sometimes the service to have them installed. And, there's so much that goes into it. And then you're not even sure what what the results are going to be, because you actually can't measure light because you haven't been taught to or trained to, and you shouldn't have to. It's not your job. It's not your profession. That's what we're here for, right? And so that's what you're getting inside the Light Wellness Masters program. You're getting the consultations, you're getting the equipment, you're getting the dimmers, right? There you go. You see, we're pulling out that blue, and now we're taking it down and dimming it, right? um you're getting the light meter, right? Remember, we said just like the body needs water, so we stock water in a pantry. The body needs food, so we've got plenty of food in the fridge. Our body needs light, so you're getting a light meter, right? And we're going to show you how to use it. We are also going to be providing you with the social rhythm calendar that we've talked about at length, the color card swatch set that we just discussed as well, because we don't always know what kind of spectral value we're getting. And so one way, just even without fully knowing, what kind of light you're getting, the color card swatch that is really more for daylight, so that you really can start to identify those things. But, and Mark, if you can talk about this, it wasn't in the presentation, and it is something that we have been, offering, that you guys now have something called the Circadian Lighting Audit Program,
Oh, that's right.
right? Yeah, so that's something that if you choose, you are going to be able to receive inside of this program as well. So, Mark, would you mind kind of talking a little bit about the circadian audit program?
Sure, sure. So that audit program right now, we've got a couple of people on our staff that created it, and they're sort of qualified to do it. We're working on training sessions to kind of fan that out and deputize people in various lighting representatives and lighting design practices around the country. So that's what we're working on this year, to train more, basically scale it so more people can do it. But what it is basically we send an expert into your space, and he or she can do a set of measurements, and they'll measure literally the vitals. So they'll measure the vertical, they'll measure the intensity, they'll talk to you about the time of day, they'll talk to you about the appearance. They'll help you to position the lighting, the location, and then they'll also help you to pick a good spectra for you. If is this space used for active space? Is this used for work? Is this used for learning? Okay, that would be one answer. Is this place used for rest or relaxation? That would be another answer.
Yeah.
And so they go through this checklist, and they give you a report that basically says, hey, on your space, this is what I would do, and it's no obligation. It's just do it, or not. At
Yeah.
least you're more informed, and that's actually where the vitals came from. The vitals is the methodology that the auditors use to go through and make the recommendations and report.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that acronym. I mean, I remember when I was coming up with the name for Light Vitality Group, I think it was like 6 years ago, because we became incorporated in January of 2017. And I remember laying down and I was, running. I had someone with me and we were running through different names and thinking, okay, what about this? What about that? No, we just were kind of writing things down, and it became like a 2 or 3 hour brain session. And then all of a sudden it landed on Light Vitality Group. And we were like, that's it. That's the name of the company, and that's because it's because it's so vital to our lives and to our well-beings, or to our well-being, and it creates vitality for us, and it's so
Mhm.
necessary, and it brings it all together. So I love the fact that inside, the auditing, that's how you reference it, that these are the vitals, right? Just like we need to understand for health and well-being in a more traditional healthcare practice, we need our heart rate, we need our blood pressure, we need our oxygen saturations, we need our blood sugar levels, right? These are all the things that we think about because of the things that we know, right? These intangible and esoteric elements of health and wellness that we just know more about because we've been doing it for so much longer. But now it's time to start looking at a different layer of intangible and esoteric elements that actually is kind of what dictates how well you're doing in all those other areas, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So again, it's that foundation of those pillars of health that creates that big picture called the fundamentals, right? These are the fundamentals of wellness that we all need to be paying attention to now. And now we have a very real, a very tangible, a very cost effective, and a very familiar method to be able to do it that doesn't require an electrical contractor or a technology integrator, right? It just requires your hand and active participation and understanding and an investment in really, becoming light conscious and using it in the right way. And that's what LVG is here to help you do. That's why we hope that you join the Light Wellness Masters program, and and just keep working with us on a regular basis, because we've seen time and time again that it's not enough to just talk about it once or twice or even half a dozen times. Eventually, if you're not, taking responsibility for it and having someone touching base with you, it's just not going to happen. It's the same concept of, oh, well, I haven't thought about my blood pressure in years because I haven't been going to my annual checkup with my doctor, right? This is a newer piece of information, newer education, and newer technology. So you're going to need a little bit more time and touch points to be able to keep reiterating this message so it becomes a habit, so that it becomes ingrained in your daily behavior and your daily thought process. So that's why we created the master's program. It's not so that you depend on us for the rest of your life. It's so that you can learn to not have to depend on so much else for the rest of your life, right?
Well said.
Um, yeah, so thank you, Mark, so much. This was wonderful. Does anyone have any questions for him before we sign off? We are at the 1 hour mark. I appreciate those of you who stuck it out with us. And for those of you who are joining us after the live broadcast, and this is the recording, welcome. Thank you so much for sticking with us, for day 8. And if you have any questions, please still type them in the comments. We will get back to you, or reach out to Valerie or myself in our DMs. We're here to serve you and to make sure that all of your answers or your questions are answered, and to just make the most of the last 2 days of this workshop, because after this, it's not going to be for another 8 to 10 weeks that you're going to get this type of interaction with us, right? Unless you call and schedule a one-on-one consultation. So please let us know what you're thinking. How are you doing? How are you feeling, right? You've had your light wellness guidelines now for 10 days. That's enough enough time to start seeing some kind of a difference if you're doing it properly, right? And we've given you so many means and methods to be able to start getting creative with how to infuse light wellness into your daily lifestyle. We hope you're doing it. So just let us know how it's going, right? And Mark, do you have any kind of final send off statements for anyone? Anything inspiring?
Just have a send off for you, Regina. I just want to congratulate you and thank you for the experience workshop and for letting us be a part of it. Hope it was helpful for LVG. I really hope it was helpful for the participants. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
Love to do it again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it. All right.
All right.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. So everyone, that was Mark McClear, COO of BIOS Lighting. We've been in conversations now for a year, a little over a year. BIOS has just been such an incredible partner to work with. The way that they kind of pivot with the market conversation and pivot with the ideas that LVG throws at them, and pivots with how to really start to apply this in allocating resources in research and development in order to make sure that we can get what you need in your hands. Most of the time when you're talking about a circadian lighting solution, you're talking about a $300 downlight, right? You're talking about a baseline starting at $5,000 control system. Ketra and Lutron, yeah, they're great, but they're high end, top of the line systems, and more power to them. Going from a clinical modular device like a 10,000 lux, plug-in lighting apparatus to having, some sort of nested environment, maybe one room or maybe, 1 to 3 rooms inside of an entire building, whether it's, installing downlights or putting in, lamps, that's one area. But then we have that Cirque du Soleil where, okay, now we're looking at the daylighting of, the building envelopes, whether you have access to windows or skylights. All of the lighting is somehow architecturally integrated, or all of the architecturally integrated lighting has some attenuation to, daytime wakeful versus evening sedative profiles. And yes, while that's where we want to get to, that's the purpose of this education, so that eventually in building codes and standards, we get to that point where we're required to support human life in this way. It's just not where we're at. I've said it again. I've said it. I'll say it again. We didn't know in the advent of electric lighting what we were taking away from our health and well-being, and it's time to get it back. And that's why we provide this education to you. It's why we invest so much time in articulating a message that's easy for you to understand. And they have done such an incredible job delivering that kind of a message, making the education that can be so technical and dense understandable, and providing simple, cost-effective solutions that are going to change the way your health and your well-being ultimately play out and manifest. So, of course, we want you to become participants in the Light Wellness Masters program. But more than any, at the end of the day, if the least that you can do is, buy the right kind of electric light bulbs for yourself, that's a message you really do need to take to heart, that these light bulbs are important. You've seen from tons of charts that they showed, that I've showed, that it really does make a difference. And while, yes, daytime applications may be easier for people in some areas of the world, it's the evening applications where our health and wellness really start to take a hit. So, just really think about that. And if you have any questions, reach out to either Valerie or myself. And I'm going to sign off for today. Please join us tomorrow for day 9, the final day of the workshop. I know it was a long stretch, but it's worth it because there's so much great information. Lena Huberman is going to be joining us. She is a speech and language pathologist Um, she was working with me and my son. Tomorrow, I'll share a little bit of a story about my son and his special needs and how we have utilized light wellness in order to enhance his therapies and really capitalize on his development. And that's, and why we chose to move from the Northeast, where we had extended winters, down into sunny Florida, so that he could have access to daylight year round. We saw incredible changes in his ability to recover, in his ability to thrive. And I will discuss that a little bit with you tomorrow. But yeah, please hang out with us again tomorrow here at noon Eastern and listen to Luca's story, listen to Lena's story, and hopefully you really take this opportunity to reflect on whether or not the master's program is the right solution for you at this time. We will be keeping the registration and the purchase of the program open until 11:59 p.m. on April 18th. And then after that, it will become available again in about 8 to 10 weeks. Stay inside the Light Wellness Experience Network. This private Facebook page will still be dropping education. We'll still do interdisciplinary Q&As in between the workshops. And this is where we're going to be hosting the workshops every 8 to 10 weeks. So if you thought this information was valuable once, I know it'll be, something that can be reiterated and can really be driven home for you yet again in 8 to 10 weeks, and give you another opportunity and that time between to really consider if this is the right type of move for you to support your health and well-being. So thank you so much. I will see you here tomorrow, and always remember to live lighthearted.